Well, hello, friends. This is the Reimagine You Lab podcast with myself, MG, and the wonderful Dr. Joyce Moore, who is coming today. And it is the third Friday, so you know it is Reimagine You with nutrition and wellness. It is our wonderful featured segment. Dr. Joyce, how are you today?
I am blessed. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show, Mrs. Michelle.
I am excited to have you here. I'm always excited. And this is going to be a wonderful episode. I'm thrilled. I am thrilled because today we're getting into a subject. We had questions, Dr. Joyce.
Oh,
I'm
wow. Yeah.
because the questions are around your topic today. They feed right into it. And the topic you shared with me: avoid eating GMO and bioengineered foods. So I think we're in for a real treat with the listening audience today. This is going to be a good one. So we're gonna want to. Are you ready to just kind of dive right in?
Oh, of course. Of
All
course.
right. Well, we know we always have to give the tee up and the disclaimer. Should you share? You want to share?
Okay. Well, the information that I will be providing is knowledge and it's educational only. It's not to make a diagnosis or to treat or to cure a disease or disorder.
Yeah. I think it's important that I am not the doctor. And yeah, I think that's certainly important. So we want to make sure that we do our due diligence. And you know what, everyone listening in, that one of the things that I think is real important, and Dr. Joyce, I'm so glad that you have information here about your book, Purple Mind Nutrition and Wellness by Dr. Joyce G. Moore. It's a great setup, or it's a great reference guide. Dr. Joyce, I think you should tell folks about, some of the things that we're going to be talking about here, I think are key, but I think your book is also a good reference to, so many things that you have in there, really as a guide for people to really be able to refer back to.
Yes. And in the book, Purple Mind Nutrition and Wellness, I will be discussing these foods, how to be aware of the GMO, genetically modified organism foods, and bioengineered ingredients that's found in these foods. And in this book, Purple Mind Nutrition and Wellness, I do have a list that the United States Department of Agriculture made an official list of GMO foods and bioengineered foods. So it would be great for you to go and purchase this book, and it can be purchased on Amazon.com or purplemindbook.com. And it's less than $10. So it's a great book. It's a book for you to use as a reference, and it has everything in it from A to Z on nutrition and wellness. So go get the book. It'll really help you, and it'll be a reference book for you.
Yeah, I think you guys, when we get into the conversation, I think you'll know it. I think you'll know, and you'll want to know more. You'll want to know more. So the book is definitely available. Be prepared to want to get a copy. All right, Dr. Joyce. So bioengineered foods, what are they?
Well,
what can you tell us?
One of the viewers, her question was, you mentioned Franken food. Can you tell us more about what to watch for? So the term Franken food, I actually borrowed this from Dr. Bill Deagle, and he's a teacher of medicine. And if you go to Google in Dr. Bill Deagle, Deagle, at the Granada Forum, you will hear him talking about two also GMO that he refers to as Franken foods. So let's get into the definition. What is GMO food? GMO food stands for genetically modified organism. It's a natural food that has been genetically engineered. So in the 1990s, scientists genetically engineered a gene, and the name of this gene is GP4, and it's from a bacterium, and the bacterium is agrobacterium. And so what they did was they genetically engineered this gene from this agrobacterium into the DNA of the native vegetable crop seeds. And they started with soy, corn, wheat, rice, and then they also genetically engineered the fruit seeds so that they would be tolerant to the glyphosate based herbicide. Now, if you go online and Google glyphosate, and I cannot say the trade name for legal reasons, you'll see what that trade name is, what glyphosate based herbicide trade name is. And what the seeds were supposed to do, the genetically modified seeds, is to make the crop tolerant to this herbicide, to this poisonous glyphosate based herbicide. So most GMO seeds produce seedless vegetables and fruits. That's your litmus test. So when you buy a fruit that says seedless, you know that it has been genetically modified. Now, there are a few fruits that they have been genetically modified, and I can think of one offhand is avocado. Now, it will have a seed, but if it has been genetically modified, the seed will not yield a fruit.
Okay. So let me make sure that I understand. So a genetically modified avocado, we'll use that one. It'll have a seed in it, but this seed couldn't be planted to produce more avocados. It'll be a seed, but it won't do anything. It's a dead seed.
Right. It's a Franken seed. It has been genetically modified, and therefore it will not produce another avocado seed.
Okay. And then I haven't looked up Dr. Ordago yet, but I will. I did look up that trade name for that glyphosate based herbicide. I won't say it here because I don't want to get in trouble. But Franken foods, I'm just thinking, it puts me in the mind of Frankenstein, who was the monster that was all pieced together, right? Like they stitched him, they made him up, right? And he was a little odd, he walked funny, right? Okay. So what we're saying is that Franken food is food that they put together that kind of has it's think about Frankenstein, y'all. So if y'all listening to this is they put this together, and this might not be good for you. Frankenstein wasn't good for us. He was scary. So this food could potentially be scary for you. Okay. I just want
it's not natural food. It's not, and we'll find it's not healthy food. It's not good for you food. It's bad food. BAD.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay.
And I believe they leave the seed in where you have a fruit that only has one seed. That seed is just like our skeletal system. It provides a structure for the fruit. So if the avocado did not have a seed, it would be mushy and soft. Right. And so they actually leave the seed, even though they have gone into the seed and altered the natural God-given traits of the seed, but they leave the seed in for the structure so that avocado would still have its normal looking structure.
Got it. Okay. They're tricking us.
Right.
but it doesn't, but it's not operating the way that it's supposed to.
Okay, so what is food that contains bioengineered ingredients? And that's often referred to as BEI or GEI. BEI, bioengineered ingredients. And if you see GEI, that's genetically engineered ingredients. In 2018, GMO, genetically modified food, evolved to bioengineered. So, so what happened was the company, and if I name the company, it's like a huge, gigantic pharmaceutical company. And if I name the company, you would know right offhand. This company purchased the patent from the owner of the glyphosate tolerant seeds, the GMO seeds. And the pharmaceutical knew that GMO had a bad rap. So what
Mhm.
he decided, or they decided to do, this large company, this large pharmaceutical company decided to change the term from GMO to bioengineered. So this means all bioengineered ingredients contain GMO. And again,
Mm.
this is genetically modified organism, a genetically modified organism. And 80% of processed foods contain bioengineered ingredients, also referred to as genetically engineered ingredients, GEI or BEI. However, what this large, giant pharmaceutical company did was they took it up another notch. Now that they had tapped into the genetic code of the gene and they knew they could get into the genes of the fruits and vegetables, they decided for some of the plants they were going to genetically engineer or do some gene editing. So, gene editing is used to alter by adding something to the genetic code or changing the sequence of the DNA code of the genetic material. So,
Mhm.
all bioengineered foods contain genetically modified organism. All bioengineered foods are GMO foods, but not
Mm.
all bioengineered foods have had their genes edited. So you
Mm.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I believe that I'm getting it. So the big pharma will say now has these seeds, right? And so
Yes,
they've taken the seeds because if they're able to alter the seed some with of these foods, then and they can edit them, change the name, edit, either add to or remove, change the sequence a little bit, then they can, you know, all if it's altered, it's just altered in some way or another, but still, it's still bioengineered
it's
because
still
it's
GMO.
changed.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's still
It-
GMO.
it's still genetically modified with an organism
Yeah,
food. You're absolutely correct. And
yeah.
but like I said, now that they had were able to get into the DNA, they decided, well, if we want to go in and change the code, the genetic sequence code, we can add a gene or we can remove a gene.
Mhm.
That's called gene editing. So, in addition to having a genetically modified food, they may have also edited the genetic makeup of the food.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking that not only is the food is now tainted to do all kinds of things, because if the pharmaceuticals are now integrated into the food, then the food can do anything now,
Yes,
right? It can make you fat, skinny. It can make you
yeah,
uh,
exactly.
whatever it wants to, because now you've essentially created
Franken food.
Franken food. It can be anything that it wants to be now. Oh, we need wisdom words now, Dr. Joyce. We need wisdom words right now.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay. So now what I did was I paraphrased this a little bit. So you can go into Genesis chapter 1, verses 11 and 12 and read those two verses. And according to God's plant kingdom laws of genetics, God commanded the earth with its productive power. So when we're talking about the earth, we're actually talking about the land of the earth with its
Yeah.
productive power to bring forth plants that yield seeds and
Mm-hmm.
fruit trees that yield fruits with seeds according to their kind. And we know that with GMO, when the seeds have been genetically modified, like for instance avocado, that still may have a seed, but that seed cannot produce.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Thus, GMO foods and foods that contain genetically or bioengineered ingredient violates God's law of genetics. So, though the GMO food and the bioengineered food violate God's law of genetics.
Yeah. Not the same. Yeah. Bioengineered foods is not God's foods.
Again, Franken foods for the viewer who asked that question. Very good question.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
now, what are the major concerns? And the viewer's question said, what should we really watch for? So the major concerns about GMO food and bioengineered ingredient in food, according to scientific research, that these foods, their genes can transfer into the human, making them hybrid humans.
mm,
Okay, another thing, and that's the most important thing, the gene
yeah.
transfer. That's what the society was concerned about, whether it was political or if it was theological society. Everyone was concerned about these GMO genes being transferred into humans, making them hybrid humans.
Yeah.
The other thing
Mhm.
we have to be concerned about, oh, well, several other things, immune suppression. So when your immune system is suppressed, you can have allergic reactions, cancers, a variety of disorders. Then
Mhm.
there, then the GMO and bioengineered Franken foods can produce a negative reproductive effects. In other words, more people will be sterile or infertile.
Mm.
And then, of
Wow.
course, there's no nutrients in these Franken foods, GMO and bioengineered foods. No nutrients, but they're high in calories. So when you mention they can alter it so that people will be obese, and they are related to adult onset type 2 diabetes, as well as heart disease and strokes. And then also, they've noticed that with these GMO bioengineered foods, that they people can become antibiotic resistance. So if they
Mm.
receive an antibiotic, they can resist that antibiotic and it won't help them.
Oh,
It
wow.
increased the toxicity to gluten related disorders, including celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disease. So there's a plethora of diseases that's caused by GMO and bioengineered Franken foods.
Oh, wow. 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 That's a lot to ingest. When just looking at this list, Dr. Joyce, we can see and think about this list alone. You can probably think of, I know I could think of a number of people that I know that fall into multiples of these categories, with allergic reactions and cancers, infertility or sterility, obesity, heart disease, stroke. People that fall in these categories.
Yes.
So it's not even like it's, small populations of people that these things impact. It's like large populations of people, and it's not specific people. It's or populations of people. These is everybody.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's not socioeconomic, it's not race, it's not gender specific. These fall the
Exactly.
gamut of everything.
Yes.
Wow. I got to sit with that for a second. Like, okay, we really do need to be paying attention.
Yeah.
Really do need to be paying attention. I'm so glad that we're having this conversation because there's so much to learn, so much to watch for, so much to be looking at. I'm so glad that we're talking about this today. This is good. This is so good. So
Yeah.
good. So
To
good.
God be
So
the
good.
glory. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Okay. So now we're going to look at some fruits and vegetables that are GMO, unnatural, and these are fresh fruits and vegetables. Arctic apples. Now, I haven't really seen the Arctic apple in the grocery store, and my antennas are always looking for GMO foods.
Hmm.
Asparagus, avocados, cucumbers, grapefruits. Now, like with cucumbers and grapefruits, if they say that they're non-GMO, and you cut these fruits and vegetables open and they don't have seeds, they're non-GMOs. Okay,
Hmm.
next slide. Grapes, and we see everywhere seedless grapes. They tell you seedless grapes, and most people say, wow, they're seedless. I don't have to be worried about the seeds. But you're eating unnatural foods, foods with no nutrients, foods that can have adverse health effects. Papayas, pink pineapples, summer squash or zucchini, watermelon, and the white russet potatoes. Now you will see russet potatoes in the store, and they are these beautiful potatoes. They're large, but these are GMO. They have been genetically modified. So avoid eating the white russet potatoes.
Wow. I've never even heard of pink pineapples.
Pink pineapples, yeah,
Hmm.
they are. There are pink pineapples and there are yellow pineapples, but the pink pineapples and both pineapples they have genetically modified.
Really, I'm down here in pineapple country in Florida.
Hmm.
Go to the Dole pineapple farm.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to now I gotta look. I've got to check. I'm glad we're having this conversation.
And ask the farmers if they use GMO seeds, and most of them will let you know. Yes, we use GMO seeds, or no, we don't use GMO seeds. If they say they use GMO seeds, then most of their crops will be from GMO seeds.
Mm, mm, mm. Okay. So much to know. So much to know.
Okay, so what the United States Department of Agriculture did, they made an official list. They created an official list of the
Hmm.
GMO/bioengineered foods because we know they're practically one and the same, GMO and bioengineered foods. They did
Yes.
the name, they just changed the name. So these are the bio GMO bioengineered Franken foods. And remember, we just saw the Arctic apples. We see them again.
Hmm.
Alfalfa. Now, alfalfa is used mostly to feed livestock. And
Okay.
so they're feeding our livestock GMO bioengineered Franken foods. So we have to be careful, even when you buy your meats, that they are non-GMO meats. Canola, canola oil. That's a frequent oil that a lot of people buy, but they don't realize that it is a Franken food. It's a GMO bioengineered food. and then yellow corn, cane sugar, and it's BT eggplants, and then the ring spot virus resistant papayas. All of these are foods that you should avoid eating.
Wow. Okay, so Dr. Joyce, what made them come up with the list? Was that did they what made them even publicize it? Was it because, they knew that, hey, this is something we need to make available and share with the public? Or was it, people were saying, hey, you got, really you need to let the public know that these foods are being altered in some way? What made them put publicizing this list?
That
And how can people get the list or
okay.
see it?
That's a great question, and I do talk about the standards, the food standards, that because we do have people, thank God, we still have good people who are concerned about people, who care about people and don't put profit above people.
Yeah.
And so, and it's a long name, but there is a group of people that work with the national standard for bioengineered foods, and they did um, mandate that the United States Department of Agriculture, as well as the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, would
Mm-hmm.
list these foods. And so this information is available in my Purple Mind Nutrition and Wellness book too. I give a nice little chapter that talks about that.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good.
That's a
Okay.
very good question. But yeah, we still have people who care, and hopefully we will continue to. Hopefully we will continue to have
Yes.
people that are actually looking out for the health and well-being of humans, and not just thinking about the profit that they can make off of people and selling these bad products.
Yeah. You know what? You brought up something else with the alfalfa and how alfalfa is used to feed like the livestock. So is that, like, how sometimes you're thinking about, you look at, you go and you buy your meat and you're looking at, the chicken looks oversized, or, your uh, I know we've looked at some of the, we don't eat a lot of beef products and such any as much anymore, but you kind of it gets questionable. You get concerned and you wonder, what are they feeding the animals? And so that I'm glad that you brought that up and shared that, because you don't know, what are the animals eating now. It does cause for pause sometimes, and so that having that awareness. So this is good to share. So purple.
And Mrs. Michelle,
Mhm,
as far as the animals being oversized,
mhm,
try to stay away from meats, and this is for the general audience viewing, that have steroids, because steroids will cause the animals to grow fast. And that's what the food manufacturers want. They want these animals, chickens, and whatever, to grow fast so that they can send them to the slaughter and have this product to sell. So steroids and hormones. Make sure
mhm.
your meats are hormone free and steroid free. Now that has
Mhm.
nothing to do with GMO. That's in
Okay.
addition to GMO and
Mhm.
bioengineered foods.
Okay. We'll have to bring that in. We'll have to talk about that too. Okay. Oh goodness, so much to talk about.
Okay, so this list continues. So soybeans. Now the interesting thing about soybeans, and when I start looking at these foods that have been genetically modified and bioengineered, I think these are foods that were very helpful to people. Soybeans, a great crop. This was the very first crop to be genetically modified, and that happened around 1994. So that was the very first crop, the soybeans, and they
Mhm.
also soybeans to livestock. And then we have the Aqua Advantage salmon. So now we see it's not only fruits, vegetables, but now meats are being genetically modified.
Mm.
Fish, goat, and cows.
Mm.
We have what's called a synbio vanilla. Stay away from that. And again, you see white russet potatoes. We saw that on the GMO list, and again on the GMO bioengineered list. These are one and the same. The summer squash or zucchini, sugar beets. Now they're using sugar beets to make most of the granulated sugar now because it's a GMO product. It's less expensive than cane sugar. And so they're actually using sugar beets to make granulated sugar, GMO granulated sugar. And again, we see pink pineapple. So you can see how they overlap. They're one and the same. It's just that with bioengineered, you may have included or changed around the sequence of the genetic code of the food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this list goes on. Yellow corn, since 2011, nearly 88% of yellow corn grown in the USA is GMO. And from this yellow corn, they're producing high fructose corn syrup, fructose corn syrup, and corn syrup, as well as cornmeal, corn flakes, corn chips.
Mm.
Everything from corn, 88% has been genetically modified. And then you have the bioengineered ingredients in crackers. So when you look at your nutrition facts label and you go down to the ingredients list, go down a little further and make sure it does not say contain bioengineered ingredient, because you're going to see that lot on the boxes of crackers, your snack foods, your packaged processed foods, and sodas or soft drinks, because they contain the GMO high fructose corn syrup and corn syrup. And then tofu, and we know that tofu is a GMO soybean product.
Mm.
And again, we want to look on the packages on your food containers, look at nutrition facts, and look all the way under where you see the ingredients list.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually you will see contain bioengineered ingredients, or you might just see contain BEI or no GEI, no genetically engineered ingredients. But now we have to be aware of these and look for these on your food packages and containers.
Yes. And hey, this is a good time. If you're listening in, go and grab a package, a label, a can of something out of the refrigerator, something out of your pantry closet. We're gonna look at some ingredient labels, and we want you to look. We're gonna actually look at some ingredient labels so we can go and so you can see what we're talking about. So take a minute and go grab something, because we're gonna be looking here in just a minute.
Okay, so these GMO foods. Now we know that the USA was the pioneer of GMO foods, and this started in the 1990s. So it's more than 30 years that the USA have been making GMO foods. But there are additional countries that are the main markets of these GMO foods. In other words, the USA sell these GMO seeds to these countries: Argentina, Brazil, Canada, and India. And they make the products and sell them back to the USA. So when you see foods with Argentina, Brazil, Canada, or India, you want to be aware that this food, this fruit, this vegetable, or this food product could contain GMO or bioengineered ingredients. And the way I remember these 4 countries is the A, B, C, and I. A for Argentina, B for Brazil, C for Canada, and I for India.
Mm, ABCI.
Hmm.
I need this ABC.
Yes.
Whew.
Okay, so today in the USA, 80% or more of vegetables and fruits on store shelves and served in restaurants are GMO food and or contain bioengineered ingredients. So GMO foods do not yield seeds according to their kind because they have been genetically engineered with a genetically modified organism. In other words, they are taking an organism from an unhuman, an unnatural species and placing them into our food. Most livestock that people consume also is fed bioengineered and GMO food. And so not only are we concerned, if you have a pet now, you also have to read the nutrition facts, ingredients, and and the different labels on their foods to make sure that they are not eating GMO bioengineered foods that can affect their health as well.
Mm. You know what? That's interesting because I've always, hear about, different people sharing with their pets. I don't have a pet, but I've heard lots of people and the pets have all the same ailments and things that people have,
Mhm.
allergies, cancers,
Exactly.
different type of sicknesses and stuff. And wow, they're suffering probably for these same reasons. All their food
Exactly.
and stuff have the same stuff in them that the people have. We just read the list of, of all the
Mhm.
challenges that the people have where they eating stuff that's been genetically modified.
Genetically
Mm.
modified and contain bioengineered ingredients.
Mhm.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
you have to, if you have a pet, you must also read their food containers, their labels, and make sure they do not contain any of these GMO or bioengineered foods that we have just listed.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now we're gonna actually find out or see how you can avoid choosing these GMO bioengineered foods when you're in the grocery store. Number one, you want to read food labels, read nutrition facts labels, read ingredients lists, look on ingredients lists to make sure your food does not contain bioengineered ingredients. And also, you have to read the price lookup, the PLU labels. And some people have never heard of, or they don't even consider with that PLU that you're seeing. The PLU labels, which stand for price lookup. And then also, they have the price lookup PLU sticker codes, which you will find on fruits, individual fruits and vegetables. So now we're going to just take a look and learn what you're going to be looking for on your food packages and containers and your
Mhm.
individual fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to give a shout out to artist Stovall. He drew this label because the non-GMO project, this is a non-GMO project verified label. And this means that the food has no GMO um, organisms in it. And it's usually you will see on your food container non GMO with this little butterfly. This is the logo because there will be other non GMO labels, but this is the most trustworthy label. This company, and you can go online and Google non-GMOproject.org. And in addition to that, it will say USDA organic. So what is organic? What does organic mean? Organic mean that this food was grown in the soil of the earth because we know that we have hydroponic foods now, foods that are grown in water. This is not the food that we should be eating. We should be eating food from the earth. So when you see these two labels, and these two labels are usually the very first labels that I look for on food. When I pick up a package or container of food, I'm looking for this non-GMO with the little butterfly on it. And I'm also looking for USDA organic. And this will usually be on the front of your foods or somewhere on that container. Next. Okay, so on every container you have nutrition facts. And so basically under these nutrition facts, and we went through total fat and cholesterol and sodium, but you'll keep going. Go to the next slide, please. Until at the very bottom of the nutrition facts list, you should see ingredients. And for this particular food, it's organic quinoa. And when you see where it says if you purchase quinoa and the only ingredient is organic quinoa, you're good. But then if under this list, if it says high fructose corn syrup or if it mentions any of those other ingredients, granulated sugar or any of the lists that, molasses, anything else, then you want to get concerned. Check it out. Make sure it's not a GMO or bioengineered ingredient. Okay, the next. Okay, so this little tag is what you're going to see wrapped around a bundle of greens or a bundle of asparagus. And what we're looking for on this label is the PLU. And you see where the arrow is. The PLU stands for price lookup. And that price lookup for organic always starts with a 9. If you're reading those numbers from left to right, the first number should be 9. 9 means it's non-GMO. And then you'll see 4 or 5 numbers behind it. But if that first number is 9, you should be good. And the other thing I mentioned, other thing that I want to say is that if it says organic on it as well, then that's good. So this one has organic and it has the PLU with the first number being 9, which means that it's non-GMO product. Okay, so now we have these other price lookup numbers. And again, if you see 4 or 3 as the first numbers reading from left to right, that means that the product has been sprayed with a pesticide or an herbicide. And you don't want a food that has been sprayed with a pesticide or an herbicide. Now, if you see these numbers and if it's a green leafy vegetable, what I would say is make sure you clean it with vinegar or with salt. And if you just use regular table salt, make sure the table salt does not contain an anti-caking agent. It only says sea salt and no other ingredients. If you ever see 8 as when you're reading from left to right. Now, remember what we said about 9? 9 means non-GMO, no bioengineered ingredients, non-GMO. Whenever you see 8, and you will very, very seldom see 8, 8 means that it contains a GMO. It's a Franken food. It's a genetically modified organism food. So they're not going to say 8. You're not going to see very many 8s. But what you're looking for is the number 9. And if you do see 4 or 3, then you know sometimes they sneak the GMOs into 4s and 3s. So if it's something like asparagus and it's a 4 or 3, I would not buy it because you know that that's probably a GMO food. So you're going to look for 9. Stay away from asparagus and go back to that list that we had. Asparagus, papayas, pink grapefruit. That's why I say it's important, because even even me, sometimes I forget and I just have to refresh myself. So it's important
Mhm.
to perhaps purchase the nutrition and wellness and familiarize yourself with those foods that we know have been genetically modified and bioengineered foods. But if you see the number 9 as your PLU, and the first number is 9, then that's supposed to mean that it's non-GMO. But again, the litmus test, if it's a fruit, you can always cut it, and if it does not have seeds, it has been genetically modified. Now, these are the stickers that you will find on the individual fruits and vegetables, and it's the same. You see the stickers, if it starts with a 9, then that's non-GMO. It's good. And if it's an avocado, Mexico is not one of the Argentina, Brazil, Canada, India, the different countries that purchase the GMO seeds. And even if it's coming from Mexico and it may say 4 or 3 at the beginning of the price lookup number, then that means it has been sprayed up with a pesticide or an herbicide that could be harmful to your health. So you still want to wash it before you cut this. You want to wash it after being soaked in a little vinegar or salty water. Clean it with those two, and that'll help to get rid of the pesticide or the herbicide. Now, when it comes to your fruits, like strawberries, blueberries, raspberry, any of the berries, they have very thin skin. The fruit skin is thin. So you want to make sure it's organic, and you want to make sure it's non-GMO, because the pesticide or an herbicide could actually penetrate through the thin skin of a fruit, and especially berries.
Mm, that's good to know.
Okay, so for wisdom words, and God said, and this is in Genesis 1:29, Genesis, the first chapter, the 29th verse, and God said, "See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the land, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food." Now, this is the Creator speaking to
Yeah.
us. So we are to eat seeded, and that means non-GMO vegetables and fruits, because they will nourish our body. They will give us those nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the amino acids that will help to prevent diseases. And
Mm,
also by eating seeded, non-GMO, non-bioengineered Franken food, it can help prevent the transfer of these foreign genes from these fruits, from these vegetables, from meats, from foods that can make us hybrid humans or Franken humans.
that's so good, Dr. Joyce.
Satan corrupts the human DNA bloodline in the earth by mixing inhuman DNA species with the human seed through genetic engineering technology. So this is the reason why. This is what we should watch out for. We should really be concerned about protecting our seed, which would be our DNA. And we protect it by avoid eating GMO and bioengineered foods. Very important to stay away from.
Dr. Joyce, this has been so good. So
Thank you.
good. This it done took us right up to the end of our time, but oh my gosh, this has been so fruitful.
Thank you.
Seeded
Thank you.
fruitful.
Thank
Sweet and fruitful.
you. And we
I
have
like
Miss Michelle. Before I forget, we have a picture over here, and we see a grapefruit, and this
it.
grapefruit is cut in half. We don't see seeds
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to the papaya and the quinoa.
Mm-hmm.
We know that that's a GMO grapefruit, and it looks like it's pink. And then we
Mm-hmm.
also see a lemon, and that has been cut in half to show you that it does not have seeds. So keep any seedless fruits and vegetables, avoid eating them. And
Yeah.
grapefruit, and most not grapefruits, but grapefruits too. But grapes have been genetically modified, and they'll have a sign up saying seedless.
Seedless grapes. Mm-hmm. They do. You guys, we are wanting to share with you, Dr. Joyce, we let's make healthy happen in 2025.
Yes,
You guys, as she shared at the beginning of this week's session, um, she's got a book. You can purchase it at Amazon and or purplemindbook.com. Purple like the color purple, mind like mind, book.com. You can go to the site, purchase the book, Purple Mind is the name of the book. Nutrition and Wellness has the list of what the USDA has put out as the list of Franken foods, bioengineered, GMO, genetically modified foods. You guys, there's a list. The USDA has put it out. You want to be aware, reading the labels, knowing what to look for. We want you to be healthy.
yes,
We want you to be aware. That is the show for today. If you have questions, drop questions in the comments. If there's comments that you want to
please,
share, let us
yes,
know. We would love to get your feedback. We would love to hear from you. Let us know. We are here every third Friday. You can hear it. Reimagine You Lab podcast. Dr. Joyce Moore, MD. Dr. Joyce, thank you for being here. Listening audience, thank
thank
you for being here.
you.
We appreciate you. And until next Friday, we will wrap it up for this time. We love you and thank you and appreciate you for tuning in. Until next time, God bless you.